What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul? What wondrous love is this, O my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss, and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul? What wondrous love is this, O my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss, and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down. When I was sinking down, sinking down. When I was sinking down beneath my sorrow's crown, friends to be gathered round. Oh my soul, friends to be gathered round. Oh my soul. I will sing, to love and to all friends I will sing, to love and to all friends who pain and sorrow mend, with thanks unto the end I will sing, with thanks unto the end I will sing. dare. So really, I don't dare. You got it. We won't sing at the same time. And to all friends who pain and sorrow mend, with thanks unto the end, I will sing, with thanks unto the end, I will sing. Good morning.
Whew. Good morning. Welcome to First Universalist Church. My name is Jen Crow. I use she and her pronouns, and it is my privilege to get to be serving here as your senior minister. It's also my joy and privilege to get to lead worship today with Allison Conley-Vetter, with Reverend Ashley, with Dr. Glenn Thomas Rideout, and with Chastity Brown. So good. We share our gratitude to John and Olu for making all the tech work and keeping us connected, to all the artists and ushers and greeters and tenders of this space, and all of you who are here with us in person and online. It is together that we make this time and this sacred space possible. Thank you for being here. Earlier this week, I had a pair of parking lot moments that I want to tell you about. The first one happened on Tuesday. It was a gorgeous day, and I was heading out to my car in the parking lot here at church, and the kids from Grace Neighborhood Nursery School, who are here during the week, were out on the playground. And I heard, clear as a bell, this phrase: "Come on, let's hold hands so we can share our power." Boom, thank you. The second one came a couple of nights later. I was heading home from our board meeting. It was well after 9 o'clock. I was tired, but also energized, and I parked my car on the street in front of my house, and I was walking in, and I stopped for a moment and looked up at the sky, and I was blown away. It was a clear night, and even with all the light pollution of the city, I could look up and see so many stars. I paused and took a deep breath and remembered that I am not at all the first, and I won't be the last to look up at those stars, to feel such a deep sense of interconnection across generations, across centuries, thousands and thousands of years, past to present to future. And I thought about all the folks who have looked up at those stars and seen that dome of light with wonder, and who have created patterns and stories out of them. And I knew how interconnected I am, whether I remember it or not. For me, these two parking lot moments reminded me of why I come to church. To remember to hold hands to share our power. To remember and notice those moments of deep interconnection. Because those are the things that are going to let us live in love, whatever the conditions in our world might be. We know that here it is holding hands generation to generation, where we invite each other into our own voices and our own power. This is how we are going to survive and thrive in these days. By building beloved community, by moving and breathing together, by celebrating and creating together, we will nourish ourselves and each other. Because it is here that we will create and inherit and sustain and pass on the universalist spirit of love and hope now and for the generations to come. And we do this together. Welcome to this spiritual community of individual and collective transformation. One of the ways we care for ourselves and each other is by calming our bodies, settling our nervous systems, which we just did with rhythm, with singing together. We're going to do it again with our breath. So this is an opportunity, if you'd like, to help yourself and all of us remember that we are not alone. In fact, we are intimately interconnected with something as present as our breath. I invite us into 3 intentional breaths in the way that is most comfortable for you. From this place of connection and calm, we remember the hopes and promises that keep us together. And I invite you to join me in saying the words for the lighting of our chalice, if you wish. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning. I'm Allison. I use she and her pronouns. I'm the director for Children, Youth, and Family Ministries here at First Universalist Church. And I want to tell you a story about something that I got to do a couple weeks ago. I'm a big fan of women's sports. I'm a big fan of women's basketball. And yeah, that does deserve applause. Yeah, for sure, women's basketball. I'm a big fan of women's basketball. And a couple weekends ago, I went to Greenville, South Carolina for the SEC women's basketball tournament. Yeah, that's right. I love the applause for women's sports, honestly. And so it was awesome. I saw probably 12 games of basketball in 4 days. It was super fun. And because these are college teams, it's not just the incredible athletes. It's also the bands and the cheerleaders and the dance team that make up the whole presence on the court. When I watched the dance team in particular, I was totally blown away because they had a dance for every single song. If the band played a song, they had a dance. The crowd did a cheer. They had a dance. The DJ played a song. They had a dance. I was like, how did you even know the DJ would play that song? Right? Much less have a dance for it. I was just so amazed. But when I watched more closely, again, I had a lot of time to do this. When I watched more closely, I realized they didn't actually have a dance for every song. They had about 5 dances that they could do to most songs. So you watch them and the song would start and they'd look at each other and they'd get on the same page. They'd decide which of their dances they were going to do and they would do that dance. Uniform, beautiful. Another song comes on, they look at each other, get on the same page, another dance. They actually didn't have to know all of the songs that could be played, and they couldn't have known all the songs that could be played, but what they did was practice. They practiced for what they didn't know, and then when what they didn't know would happened, they could meet the moment because they practiced, they worked as a team, they were prepared for the unexpected, and then they made it happen. And they made it look so easy. Is it that easy? We're about to find out because we're going to dance right now. So what I'm going to need is some volunteers to come up here to help me make up a dance that then we're all going to do together to a couple songs. So any volunteers, all ages, anyone want to come up here? We're going to make up a dance, do a couple moves, and then dance to a couple songs together. If you're upstairs, you can come down also from the balcony. Anybody come on up? Yeah, Tupelo Bird, coming on up. Can I get a couple more people to help? Let's help make this dance. Yes, come on up, come on up. Thank you so much. Okay, so here's the deal. We need 4 dance moves. 4 dance moves. Can I get, anybody have a move? Just one move that maybe most people could do. Oh yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one. Okay, we've got one. Bird, did you have another one? Oh yes, a little bit of up and back. We're gonna go up and back. Oh yeah, a little side to side leg motion here. I need one more move. Who's got another move? Who's got one more move? Oh yes, this is a good one. This is a good one, hands above our heads. I invite you to stand up. This is a standing up sort of activity, full body engagement. All right, we're gonna practice our moves, okay? We just learned them, we just created them together. Move number 1, up and back with your arm, up and back with your arm. Move number 2, a little scoop, scoop down, scoop up, scoop down. And Tupelo, remind me of yours. Oh, a leg, crossing your leg from side to side. And then we got this one with our arms above our heads. Okay, let's practice those again. We've got 1, the arms moving side to side. We've got a little scoop up, a little scoop back. We're moving our leg across our body. And then our hands are above our heads, okay? So we're gonna practice this. We get 3 chances. And let me tell you, you are not expecting the songs that we're gonna get to dance to. But it's gonna be so fun. Are you ready? We practiced? We feel warm? You're stretching? You're loose? All right, let's get our first song.
Down at the Pink Pony Club, I'm gonna keep on dancing at the Pink Pony Club. I'm gonna keep on dancing down the West Hollywood. I'm gonna keep on dancing at the Pink Pony Club. Pink Pony Club.
Amazing, amazing! Amazing. So that's 1, but one time, not enough to demonstrate to us that we are really ready for anything. We've got another song, another chance. Let's hit it. Little arm, scoop, back, our legs. We got our arms overhead. Again, little arm action. Scoop, scoop. Our legs are going across our body, we're over our head. One last time, little arm action. Got a scoop, got our legs. Over hands, amazing, amazing, brilliant, beautiful. One more song that proves we can meet any moment. All right, let's get our third song. Are we ready? Little arm. We're scooping. Got our leg. Got our hands in the air. Got our arm. Got our scooping. Got our leg. We got our hands in the air. One more time. We got our arm. We got our scoop. We got our legs. We got our hands. Amazing. Amazing. For our dancers, give it up for our dancers. All right, you can take your seat. Thank you. Amazing job. Amazing job. So what did we learn? What did we learn? What did we do first? Before the music started, what did we do? We practiced. Did you expect those songs? No! Who could have expected those songs? But because we practiced, we could meet any moment. We practiced. The song started. We locked in. We were on the same page. We connected. We moved. We met the moment. And so what I'm telling you is this. Right now, in the world, there are a lot of moments that many of us did not expect. And they're happening very quickly. And it is absolutely impossible for any of us, or all of us, to predict what moment will happen next. But here's the thing. We don't have to do that. Because instead, we can practice, we can work as a team, and we can meet any moment. Thanks for dancing. At this time, our young folks are going to go to their own place to practice, to keep practicing. I invite our flag bearers to come forward, our lantern lighter to come forward. They will guide our kids out to their own spaces to practice what we preach here at First Universalist.
This little little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it
Good morning, beloveds. My name is Ashley. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm one of the ministers among you. Now that we've worked our wiggles out collectively, let's settle in a bit. We say every week, as we respond to each other's pains and protests and joys, you are not alone. We are holding it together. And this week I've been thinking a lot about how that's not only about the folks in this room or the folks who are online joining us in this time or in this place. It's across time. I am wearing rings on my hands from my grandmothers, Vera and Flo. I am wearing a stole. Wait, you have to see the fringe. From the Reverend Marguerite Vocal, who is the mother of one of my mentors and Pastor Reverend Rebecca Vocal, who is a 17th generation pastor, right? We carry our lineages, we carry our ancestors in our hearts. Adrienne Marie Brown often talks about how the heartbeat is the sound of 1,000 ancestors clapping. I love that. You are not alone, we are holding it together, means we are not alone in this moment, but our ancestors are holding us together also. I also look out and I see a number of folks who are in our new member class. There are 25 people in our new member class right now. We are dreaming our way forward too. I like to imagine our church descendants holding us also, reminding us we are not alone. They too are holding it together with us. So let us pray now. Marguerite, the Reverend Marguerite, was a minister at the People's Church in Chicago, a UCC and UUA church, where she got this stole, a joint endeavor between the two denominations. Reverend Marguerite is a prayer warrior, self-proclaimed. She's in her 80s now. She is no less of a prayer warrior now than she was once upon a time. And if she told you she was praying for you, she was praying for you. Not in the creepy way. Seriously, we all know that kind of prayer too. She was praying that your wholeness became louder than your pain. That you could hear love and feel love in your body like there was nothing else possible. So I invite you now into the spirit of her form of prayer. She would say, Will you pray with me? It was not really a question. She was going to pray no matter what. And then she would drop into a place beyond the realm in which we were and say with her whole being, "Great and gracious God." And we would all arrive into that love. Great and gracious God, whom we call by so many names: love, revolution, transformation, creation, breath, universe, presence. Hold us now as we hold each other, as we make a circle of peace, of belonging, as we remember there is nowhere we can go outside of love. Let us hold each other now, as we speak aloud all that rests on our heart longing for company, all that would be lighter to hold together or more joyful if shared. Let us pray. The circle is open.
For my partner, Nancy, and her Kansas family. Nancy's sister-in-law, Betty, died last night in the night, surrounded by hospitals.
Oh, for Betty and for all who loved her, for Nancy, for Susan, for all the beloveds in Kansas. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For all those relapsing, you are not alone. We are holding it together. For all those with measles and who will get measles in the next year. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For all those living in fear of the current administration. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For the children, past and present, who are always on the front line. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For all the people who need to sleep outside, you are not alone. We are holding it together. For the Arctic and Alaskan wilderness, all the wilderness being threatened. You are not alone. We are holding it together. From Marie, for my mother who is in the hospital with RSV. You are not alone. We are holding it together. In early March, Kira Berglund and Toni Morris and grandparents Eric and Lisa Berglund welcomed Arlo Berglund Morris into the world. Little Arlo was eager to see the beautiful world and came about 8 weeks early. So he's spending some time in the hospital before going home, and everyone is doing well. For the people of Palestine who were hit with another deadly attack despite the ceasefire. At the request of a congregant, we have a vigil table in the social hall downstairs, hosted by Reverend Laura, where people can light candles in solidarity and grief. You are not alone. We are holding it together.
Thanks for the Jewish Voices of Peace, whose organized right away protests that you could just and listen to.
In gratitude for Jewish Voices for Peace, it's an organization, and all the work of solidarity happening for Jewish Voices with Palestine. You are not alone. We are holding it together. And thanks for a birthday and the hope of new life. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For all the prayers that do not have words, but rest in our bodies, needing our tending. For all the prayers that have not yet found their way into community because they feel too tender. May we each and always remember, you are not alone. We are holding it together. Let us sing our prayers now. And now we make material the idea that we are not alone, but we are holding it together. This is the time where we share our morning offering. This week's recipient of our offering is our own beloved community. We strengthen this community's ministries each time we give. I was telling Daytime Connections this week, which is a gathering of frequently almost 100 folks once a month from our senior community, that Jen and my phones are blowing up these days with requests for housing support, for sanctuary, for our trans kinfolk from across the country seeking refuge in a state where their health care still exists. These are the kinds of ministries that you support when you support the ministries of this church. And we have one other call to offering this morning. It comes from our beloved member of over 50 years, Dale Shui, as he invites us to consider how we will give this year to our overall operating budget for the fiscal year that begins in July. Let us welcome Dave with a sign of our gratitude called clapping.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Dale Shui, and I appreciate this opportunity to speak to you this morning. I've agreed to be sincere, be brief, and be seated. My wife Kay and I became members of First Universalist Church in December of 1971. Kay passed away 5 years ago this month on March 31st, 2020. And this morning I could be sharing our story about how we found the church and why I'm still a member. I know that Kay would have her own story, but I will tell you some of mine, which wouldn't have happened without Kay. I was raised Catholic and Kay was Lutheran, and we were married at, Mount Olivet Lutheran Church in Minneapolis. Mount Olivet is just a couple of blocks west of our former church building on 50th and Girard. We were looking for what we could call our own church home, and we considered Mount Olivet a temporary solution. We didn't have any issues with the faiths we were raised in. We just wanted to find one that was a better fit for us, and we were not aware of Unitarian Universalism at the time. In 1971, I was on the board of the United Nations Association in Minnesota. We attended their annual dinner, and Reverend John Cummins, the minister of First Universalist Church, was one of the speakers. When John was introduced, Kay mentioned to me that he was the minister of a church that she had heard from a coworker. Well, we decided to visit his church, and that was the beginning of our life-changing relationship with First Universalist Church. To borrow from the title of John Cummins' book of his sermons, it was the beginning of a strange and wondrous journey. That is the true version of how we found the church. The one I told John Cummins was that one Sunday we were going to attend a service at Mount Olivet, but we couldn't find a parking spot. And we ended up parking closer to his church and decided to drop in. I mentioned that it was the beginning of a life-changing relationship, and here is one way it changed mine. The theme for the Sunday service on May 2nd, 1976 was The Wisdom of Henry David Thoreau, and that was the title of Reverend Cummings' sermon. The rest of the service was titled An Appreciation, Gleanings from Concord. It was a presentation of slides, readings from Thoreau's writings, and music, flute and piano. That was the beginning of my involvement in developing and presenting over 70 Thoreau-related programs and events for organizations, libraries, and universities throughout Minnesota. 14 of those were presented at other UU churches and fellowships in the Twin Cities and around the state. I'm grateful for the opportunities the church has provided for me to grow and develop these interests, but Thoreau isn't the reason I'm still a member. I'm here because of the work of this church and to be a part of this beloved community. I'm also grateful for the people who came before us, especially those who made it possible for First Universalist Church to be at 50th and Girard in 1971. The church has changed since then, and so have I, and we have grown together. The past 5 years have made me realize that we, myself and the church, need each other more than at any time since I've been a member. In a variation of the Universalist spirit of love and hope, I have received, grown, and given where I could. The early years were heavy on the receiving and light on the giving. But lately, I have reversed that trend. I still receive and continue to grow, but I have weighted the balance to giving by significantly increasing my pledge. It's about time, not only this time, but for the times we shall never see. I will close with a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's about libraries, but I liken it to my own experience with First Universalist Church. He wrote, "Be a little careful of your library. Do you foresee what you will do with it? Very little, to be sure. But the real question is what it will do with you. You will come here and get books that will open your eyes and your ears and your curiosity and turn you inside out or outside in." It has been a strange and wondrous journey. I wish the same for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale, for over 50 years of supporting this church to become what it is today. Let us receive our morning offering, and as we do, let us receive an act of devotion, a form of chastity's gladness, meeting this community's need. Thank you.
giving the answers, never they come when you want. The body's just fragments, you're full of stars, lighting the way to wherever you are right now. What could we do here? What words could we speak? Language is silence for the spaces between. So hold on to me. You can hold on. There in the park, said you're waiting for me. Under the branches, your feet crush the leaves to the ground. And I kept my distance, observed from afar, walked away with my patience, like dragging a wall through the crowd. What could we do here? What words could we speak? Language is silence for the spaces between. So hold on to me. You can hold on. Hold on. Anytime, oh.
The reading for the day comes from
Howard Washington Thurman, and who was an American author, philosopher, theologian, Christian mystic, educator, and civil rights leader. Thurman's theology of radical nonviolence influenced and shaped a generation of civil rights activists, and he was a key mentor to leaders within the civil rights movement, including Martin Luther King Jr. In 1944, he founded, along with Alfred Fisk, the first major interracial, interdenominational church in the United States. The reading comes from Thurman's book, Meditations of the Heart. There is within each of us the possibility of an island of peace within one's own soul. The individual lives life in the midst of countless stresses and strains. There are many tasks that we are engaged in that are not meaningful to them, though they are important in secondary ways. There are responsibilities that are by virtue of training or family or position. Again and again, decisions must be made, large and small, that bind them in unseen ways. No one is free from the peculiar pressures of life. Each of us must deal with the evil aspects of living, with injustices inflicted on us and injustices wittingly or unwittingly we inflict on others. We are all caught in the conflict of our weaknesses and our strengths. The only hope for surcease, the only possibility of stability, is to establish an island of peace within one's own soul. Here, we bring for review the purposes and dreams to which our lives are tied. This is a place where there is no pretense, no adulteration, no dishonesty. What we truly think and feel about ourselves and others is revealed. Love is love, hate is hate, fear is fear. Well within the island is the temple where God dwells, not the God of creed or of church or family, but the God of one's heart. Into this presence we come with all that we are. We ask, what am I? What are my plans? What is my authentic point? Where does my life go? All of it stands revealed in the presence. I'm Nan Potter. I use pronouns she, her, and I am a worship associate for the congregation. And I have to say that those questions that I ended with from Thurman are daunting. And I love the idea that these answers will be revealed through developing inner peace within our soul. And I'm glad that Thurman added that we have the potential for inner peace. Because sometimes I feel it, and sometimes it seems to elude me. There was a time, not very long ago, when I was feeling lost. I had trouble finding a meaningful path for my life. I talked with one of our spiritual leaders and told her that I had an impulse to pray, but that I could not do so because I didn't believe there was anyone to pray to. She suggested that may not be necessary in order to pray. So I started a journal, and I write in it every day. I admit that I had some resistance to this endeavor, How can I write prayerfully to no one? Don't I need an object to speak to? How is writing about feeling lost going to help me not feel that way? So I started with a list of negative emotions and moods. I seem to have an abundance of them. January 1, I feel so lost and alone. January 2, I'm feeling miserable. I'm angry that I can't get out of this black hole. January 3, etc. Now, you can imagine that that was not very helpful. So reconceptualizing this writing as my prayer book prompted an important shift in my spiritual life. A key discovery came when I started writing without addressing anyone. It's weird, but it worked. Now I start with things that I am grateful for. I ask for guidance in decision-making and in relationships, for help in noticing opportunities for growth and connection, for skill and right-mindedness in my path, for help as I respond to whatever comes up, for a feeling that I am not alone. I accept that this is how I pray, and that it helps me believe that inner peace is something that I can have within. Secondly, I practice daily meditation, which for me is a kind of prayer. Prayer and meditation help me to connect to myself and to the wider world around me. They prepare me for connection with others and to be strong and sturdy as we face a frightening loss of freedoms and rights. And connecting with others in a loving, interested, truthful, and open way helps me to nurture inner peace. Really, they are interconnected. Others help me in revitalizing inner peace, and having inner peace helps me be in the world in a better way, ready to actively resist the loss of basic rights and protections for all. As Allison wonderfully demonstrated with us, you have to practice in order to be prepared for you don't know what. And I sing often. Especially, I have my own personal version of Ella Fitzgerald. Not something I'm going to share. But I do share with my dog every night. We sing together. And she loves my Fitzgerald. When I just cannot find that inner peace, I have created an imaginary safe place that's a calming place to replenish. Others have helped me create this place, and they can describe it to me when I'm feeling lost. This helps me regain inner peace and groundedness so that I'm able to return with resilience. These spiritual practices are worth keeping constant, and I know that inner peace, though often shaken, is worth the effort that it takes to cultivate. Thank you.
Tell me what do you do when you've done all you can, and it seems like it's never enough? And what do you say when your friends turn away and you're alone. Tell me, what do you give when you've given your all and seems like you can't make it through, while you just stand when there's nothing left to do? You just stand, find the thing that pulls you through. Yes, after you've done all you can, you just stay. Tell me, how do you handle the guilt of your past? Tell me, how do you deal with the shame? And how can you smile while your heart has been broken and filled with pain? Tell me, what could you give when you've given your all and it seems like you can't make it through? Well, you just stand when there's nothing left to do. You just stand, find the thing that pulls you through. After you've done all you can, you just stand and be sure, be not entangled with the bondage again. You just stay and endure. There is a purpose, oh, there is a plan. Tell me, what do you do when you've done all you can and seems like you can't make it through? Well, you just stand when there's nothing left to do. You just stand, find the thing that pulls you through. After you've done all you can.
After you've done all you
Oh,
can.
after you've done all you can.
After you've done all you can.
After you've done all you can, you just stay.
Y'all, big thanks to Chastity Brown. Thank you for your music, for that gift. And y'all, listen later. So good. Look her up. This week, I attended a gathering of folks who are committed to creating conditions of equity in organizations of all kinds, all over the country and all over the world. We gathered to ground ourselves in the midst of this political moment in the United States. We gathered to remember the world we want to live in, a world where each and every person is known and knows themselves as whole and holy and worthy, welcome and wanted exactly as they are, all of us with room to grow. We gathered to remember that we can choose to live in ways right now that humanize every person. We can choose to live in ways now where we connect with people and all of life, where we speak and gather and move with freedom, where we find our voices and celebrate when others do the same. We came together to remember that we can double down on hope right now and keep ourselves grounded in the sometimes far-off vision of what can be, even in the midst of what is. We came to remember what matters most to us and to know that we can create it now and in the times ahead. We did this because in the midst of trauma and overwhelm, we often forget what we already know. We forget the things that we used to know by heart, and it helps to have others around us remind us of who we are and how we want to be in the world. It helps to remember that the moments of interconnection are actually right at hand, as close as our breath, as close as shared rhythm, as close as singing and silence, as holding hands and sharing our power. As Unitarian Universalists, we center our faith and our lives in a love that embodies justice and equity and transformation, that embodies pluralism and interdependence and generosity. We commit to living lives that are joyful and embodied and creative and connected. We come together at church because it is here that we practice beloved community within and beyond our walls. We gather together to center our lives in a love that is so big that it draws everyone in. A love so powerful that it transforms individuals and communities to the shape of justice, compassion, and courage. A love so strong that it breaks down barriers and helps us to know the interconnection that already is. We come here to practice beloved community. We do this by centering our lives in not just the idea, but the practice of a love that the Reverend Mark Morrison Reed tells us, a love that is so big it will not let us go, let us down, or let us off the hook. This is the love we center our lives in. Howard Thurman describes an island of peace within the soul, a refuge not from the world, but a refuge within this world, a place that we can cultivate inside of ourselves that allows us to return to ourselves, to be in the presence of the God of our heart, however we define that. This inner stillness that we experience there, it doesn't eliminate struggle, but it absolutely shapes how we will engage with it. As you heard, Thurman served as mentor and advisor to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in his leadership of the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s. And I absolutely hear echoes of Thurman's wisdom and words in Dr. King's actions and in his speeches. Dr. King repeatedly taught that building beloved community will require qualitative changes in our souls and quantitative changes in our lives. Building beloved community will require a reorientation of our hearts and our spirits, and it will require active changes in our lives, in our practices. To live centered in a love so powerful that it transforms individuals and communities into places of justice and care, where racism and poverty and violence have no home, this requires a commitment to the spiritual practice of nonviolence, which means eradicating violence and hatred, not just from our actions, but from our words and from our hearts, too. This is deeply spiritual work. I don't think it's work we can do all on our own. We have to do it in community together. Now, I say this about nonviolence and these turns in our hearts and our actions, and I say it all knowing the moment we are in right now in our country. This is a moment where, for many of us, the experience of hatred and exclusion and erasure, the experiences of fear and frustration and fascism, where the erosion of human rights and democratic principles are our everyday experience right now. As individuals and as a church, as a country, we are living in a time of overwhelm, where there is just too much coming at us too fast in a whole variety of unpredictable ways. And this is on purpose. This is being done to intentionally overwhelm our nervous systems and pitch us into adaptive responses of fight and flight and freeze and appease. These responses keep us in places of despair and cynicism, fear and disconnection. They keep us out of the kind of creativity and connection and care and possibility we absolutely need right now. And I say again, this is on purpose. This is a technique of every authoritarian regime that has ever been. It is a technique in play now. And so we must remind ourselves and each other of who we are and who we want to be, and live from that place. I was reminded this week of the words of the Italian philosopher Antonio Gramsci, who was a vocal critic of Mussolini and of fascism. He was imprisoned in 1926, where he remained until shortly before his death in 1937. He is perhaps most famous for a statement that is often translated like this: "The old world is dying and the new world struggles to be born. The old world is dying and the new world struggles to be born. This is the time of monsters." Now, others translate those same words with just a slight difference that I have found really interesting. They translate that statement like this: "In this interregnum, a great variety of morbid symptoms appear." A great variety of morbid symptoms appear. Yep. I'm grateful for the writings of Venkatesh Rao and Vu, who brought this idea and many of the ideas I will share next to my attention, and for an image that was created by the author Vu, too. So let's see this now. This is one I think that might be helpful for us. So this describes Gramsci's gap. And I bring this up because I believe that as a country, we are in Gramsci's gap. We are in a place where the old world of individualism and extraction, of a zero-sum game of resources and wealth and well-being, where that worldview is dying and a new worldview is struggling to be born. And I believe this time in between is the time of monsters. It is the time when a great variety of morbid symptoms are appearing. I also believe this is not the end of the story. It is a space in the middle of it. I believe that because the worldview that centers itself in interconnection and interdependence, this worldview that recognizes the great diversity among us and welcomes that as a strength as opposed to something to erase, because this worldview that says there is enough for each of us if we share what we have, this is still there. This worldview, this experience that we know of interconnection, of holding hands to share power, it is very much still alive. And whatever anybody else says, I believe it is on the rise. It doesn't go away because we are living in a time of authoritarianism. It just means that we need to double down on hope and double down on the spiritual disciplines that will renew our spirits and help us to remember the world we want to live in, the world we can create, at least in pockets, right here and right now. Now, I'm not Pollyanna about where we are in this time of monsters. I know this time will not be easy. I know that some of us will not survive to see the turning of the cycle. I know that we are in the destruction phase right now, the time of monsters full of bigotry and hatred, where the imagination of so many folks has been colonized and limited to keep us stuck in the ways of capitalism and corruption and division. If we're going to make it through this time of monsters, this interregnum, this time of the morbid symptoms that are certainly appearing, we are going to need each other, and we're going to need our spiritual practices. We're going to need to sing and be sung to. We're going to need silence and speech. We're going to need to look up at the stars and feel that sense of wonder and interconnection. We're going to need to hold hands and share our power. We're going to need to remember who we are and how we want to be. And here's the good news about that. We know how to do this. We've been doing it as a church community for over 165 years, living in love. And I believe that as a church community that has been growing this whole time, growing and changing, we know a lot about what it is to live in Gramsci's gap, to be in that space between an old worldview and way of doing things and a new one that is emerging. Because any spiritual work that is worth its salt has us always moving into a new worldview, a new way of understanding the world, a new way of inclusion, new learning, new evolution of thought, because we are not and we shouldn't be the church of 1971. We need to be the church of 2025 right now, because this is a living faith. We know what it is to move from old ways to new ones, carrying the core parts of who we are and what we believe in with us. We know how to do this. I think we know something about it as individuals too, what it is to live in Gramsci's gap. I bet each of us has had to make changes at points in our lives when we needed to let go of an old way or an old worldview or an old relationship that was killing us in some way. And we had to move towards something new, a new way of being, a new worldview, a release perhaps of an addiction or an idea that was harmful to us or those around us. And we had to move through that time of monsters. We did it by holding on to each other, by holding on to what we value most, by trusting that we could become the person we were meant to be. We know how to move through Gramsci's gap. Now, I want to share with you something else from the gathering that I attended earlier this week. And this is the work of Beth Zemsky. She is a brilliant teacher and guide along the way, has been a leader for many of us here in our work around intercultural competence. So one of the things that she was talking about at this gathering was that this is a time of moral injury. So let's have that slide. So again, this is her work of pulling this together. Moral injury calls on us to have moral resilience. And resiliency is the capacity to engage with challenges with elasticity. It's our ability to connect to and cultivate our innate aliveness. How do we cultivate resiliency? Let's see what else Beth has to say about this. Now, I will tell you that when I saw this list of resiliency factors, I looked at it and I immediately thought, oh, this is what we do at church. We did this within the first 15 minutes. So many of these things. Factors to build our resiliency. We balance our nervous systems. We seek meaning in whatever experience we're having. We cultivate a belief in our ability to cope. When I say we've done this before, I am cultivating this ability in our belief that we can cope with what is. We stay connected with sources of support for our identity and our community. We talk about what we're going through and we are witnessed in it. We listen and are helpful to others. We activate positive emotions and cultivate an attitude of survivorship. I see these and I think each of these is a spiritual practice in a way. Each of these ways of being that we need right now. I go back to Thurman. The only hope for surcease, the only possibility of stability is to establish an island of peace within one's own soul. These words grounded the civil rights activists of the 50s and 60s, and they can ground us now as we too seek to build beloved community. So I wonder, what spiritual practices will you cultivate? Where will you double down so that you can experience that inward island of peace in your soul? How will you live now in the world that you dream about? May this be our work. May it be so. May we make it so. Amen.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know that we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know it will be hard. It will be hard, we know. And the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
We will get there together. I know that for sure. Join us after the service for coffee and conversation downstairs in the social hall. Stop at the table with Reverend Laura and Robin and others to light a candle for the people of Palestine in this time of fear and loss. Join us right here in the sanctuary with members of the Environmental Justice Team for climate conversations as we discover together how to build the world we long for right now. We can do this together, friends. Let's double down on hope. Let's double down on connection. Let's double down on each other. May it be so. Amen.
It will be